Hello, Stitchy friends, YouTube friends, all of that. Welcome back to the show. It's not a show. The anxiety is high today. So if I'm weirder than usual, it's the anxiety. Okay. So, welcome to August. It is August 7th, 2023. Oh crap, it is my middle sibling's birthday. I have to call them. That's apropos of nothing. It is FlossTube number 50 something, I think. Lots going on. I didn't do my intro. It is Monday, August the 7th, 2023, and Black Lives still matter. Always. Forever. My name is Julia, also known as Julicious on FlossTube and Instagram. And my pronouns are they, them. I live in the United States in the Philadelphia area. And I do a lot of cross stitch. Knitting is my first love. I have been foraying into knitting design and cross stitch design, and that's probably contributing to my anxiety today because I'm talking to you about it. Welcome. If you're new, welcome, and thank you for checking me out. I kind of noticed Michelle Bendy, some very kind human. You know her, we love her, talented, kind, wonderful. Gave me a little bit of a shout out on her most recent, second most recent FlossTube video, and I kind of noticed a little uptick in subscribers, both here and on my Instagram. So thank you, welcome. I hope I don't scare you away, but if I do, that's all right. I'm not for everybody. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much. It means the world to me that you choose to come back and spend your time with me. And yeah, thank you. Quite a bit to talk about today. It might be a longer video. I have been trying to keep them 30 to 40 minutes. It might go over today. So let's just let's dive in. Some housekeeping. So last week, Sinead O'Connor died. She was found unresponsive in her flat in London and was pronounced dead at the scene, which probably means she had been dead for a little while, because generally, even if you're in super bad shape, they'll kind of get you to the hospital right away, and then the doctors there will make the call. It is not outside the realm of possibility that she died from suicide, and that has been weighing very heavily on me. I loved her. I loved her work, and she spoke the truth. She spoke her truth, and the world punished her for it. And now she's dead, and a lot of famous people are coming out of the woodwork and saying very kind things about her. And there's part of me, a very dark part of me, that's like, why didn't you say this about her and to her while she was still with us? Because now she's nowhere. Anyway, so that weighed on me. That hurt. That death hurt, just because I can make an educated guess regarding the circumstances. And this next part is going to sound really weird, really bizarro, but just keep an open mind, all right? I had a dream the night after I found out that she was dead. I had a dream in which I designed a cross stitch that was just a quote, the quote that she was that she was punished for, which is fight the real enemy. I had a dream that I just charted that, and then her name in 1966 to 2023, and it was very vivid. And I mean, I have vivid dreams normally. I know not everyone does. I do. 99.9% of the time, by the time I get from my bed to my bathroom, brush my teeth, and get into the shower, I've forgotten. I think that is also pretty standard for most of us. I got home from work the following day and started charting that pattern. It's just on Stitch Fiddle, which is free. It's not very good. You have to pay. You have to pay Stitch Fiddle if you want to have an option to chart French knots. So not the greatest, but what do you want for free? And it got the job done. So yeah, I charted it and it wasn't perfect. And then on my next day off, I poked at it. It's not perfect, but it's in a place where I am happy with it. And I want to share it with you. Okay, around here somewhere, my partner Josh is going to help me put in a little like screenshot or picture of the pattern itself. I ended up signing up for Ko-fi, to get this to you, which I had been planning doing by the end of this year anyway, due to the foray I am making into knitwear design. So I just did it a bit early. The pattern is free. I think it'll be very quick to stitch up. I actually am sorely tempted to bend my no new starts rule just to stitch up a quick model. It's tempting. Anyway, it's free. I'm gonna put the link to my Ko-fi below. It is free. You can download it and stitch it for free. I ask that in lieu of just stitching it, downloading it and forgetting it, if you would please, however much money you feel comfortable, it doesn't have to be a lot, find a local to you, either a mental health resource organization, American Friends, NAMI, National Alliance on Mental. NAMI has enough money. Find something local, a hotline, anything like if you have If you have like an LGBTQ center, donate to them because they provide mental health services. Any local grassroots place in your area that provides mental health services, donate to them. Alternatively, donate to an organization near you that helps children who are survivors of abuse. Those causes, I think we all associate very deeply with Sinead, so that is what I ask. Yeah, you will see. So related to the Ko-Fi, if you go to my Ko-Fi page, you'll see the option to like buy me a coffee. I selected the $3 option, just because like, if we're thinking about how much I pay for a coffee when I go out, it's usually around that because I don't always do the fancy things. Anyway, if you choose to buy me a coffee, that's wonderful. However, you will not be buying me a coffee. I feel bad taking people's money just for existing. What I'm going to do is either at the end of every month or when things get to like $50 or so, whichever comes first, all that money is going to go to a mutual, my favorite local mutual aid organization for me. In my case, it's a community fridge. Actually, they have 2 fridges now in Germantown, which is just about 10 minutes from me. They have 2 fridges and 2 pantries, and it's run entirely by volunteers, and it's just free food and dry goods and menstrual hygiene products for free for the community, for people who need them. So that's what you will be supporting. Should you choose to buy me a coffee, no pressure. I just want you to know you're not going to be giving me money because just for once a month sitting down and yakking at my phone. So anyway, links below. That's all the housekeeping. Maybe I should show you some physical stuff that I can hold. Last month, in the middle of July, my partner, our daughter, and I drove up to Niagara Falls, the Canadian side, to stay for about 4 days. My in-laws celebrated their 50th anniversary in 2021. And now we felt safe enough to travel. So we celebrated their 50th a couple of years late. They went to Niagara Falls for a short honeymoon when they got married. And they wanted to go back with kids and grandkids in tow. It was nice, it was loud. We did some wonderful hiking, my partner and I shared it on Instagram. It was really beautiful. We found some fossils, like some imprints of trilobites, ammonites, things like that. Very cool. But on our way, I have dry skin on my fingers. This is why I keep looking down. On our way from Philadelphia to Niagara Falls, what we actually did was we went from Philadelphia to just outside of Rochester, New York, to Pittsford, New York, because if we were going to be in that area of the world, I was going to go to Hobby House Needleworks. If you live in upstate New York, southern Ontario, southern Quebec, you have got to go. to Hobby House Needleworks. If you're ever in that area on vacation, traveling like I was, you have got to go to Hobby House Needleworks. Now, here's the thing. That's only the second time in my entire life that I have been to a brick and mortar needlework shop. And the first time I went was, the one in Reston, Virginia. In Stitches? Maybe? I don't know. Brick and mortar needlework shops give me anxiety. It's really weird that it happened twice. It's because I have an anxiety disorder. That's why. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Friendly staff, beautiful site. They've got two, not one, but two shop dogs. A little one and a big one. And I got to pet them both, and they were so sweet, and I would just go to pet the dogs, honestly. They still had their trunk show. Heartstring Samplery was apparently there earlier this year to do a little trunk show, and so they had models left there. So I got to see Love Letter to the Cross Stitch Nation, finished in person, beautiful. I also got to see, I don't own this one, it's on my wish list, the Token of Friendship, beautiful. And shop models galore. I only bought 3 things because the main reason that I wanted to go to Hobby House was so I could look at their fabric selection. One of the things I'm starting probably in March of 2024 is Abby Bella Stitch's sampler, the Alpa Betong Filipino sampler. It's huge, it's beautiful. I wanted to pick a fabric for that in person. And I got very overwhelmed. Julia, why do you get overwhelmed looking at fabric? I don't know. Anyway, I ended up choosing something that I'm not sure is actually the best choice, but we'll see. And the lighting is kind of funky. I've got my magnifier light pointed at me from over here as kind of like a DIY ring light. It's not working. It's weird. Anyway. Oh my God, Julia, show them something. I ended up choosing a 40 count, new to me. This is Tabby Cat linen in, oh crap, wood smoke. In wood smoke. Sampler's either going to be this long or this long. I'm going to have a lot of extra fabric because it's long and it's wide, but not very tall. I'm going to be using the called for thread that Abby used, which is Vicki Clayton's silk HDF in the colorway Gandhi Tango, which is a beautiful variegated red. I'm wondering if wood smoke is just a touch dark, but we'll see. I also have a very generous cut of 40 count platinum linen from Zweigart in my stash, so, and everything looks good on platinum. So if I do a floss toss and decide that this is not right for it, then I'll just do the platinum. That's what I went there to get. what I ended up seeing on the wall, and it was like right there because so there was a table that had the small finishes of heartstring samplery, and kind of on a beam, like a post, structural post, the table was up against, there were some framed samplers hanging on it. And I saw this one and I kept coming back to it, even though like the color, like this is bright. Like this is not what Julia gravitates to, but I got obsessed. I got obsessed with Agnes Thompson 1819. And it's not actually very big. 140 by 217. I mean, it's not small, but it's not a BAP. I wouldn't consider it a BAP. It's brighter than this. And it's all charted in DMC. The more I look at it, so a Scottish sampler, charted and stitched, true to the original antique. Stitches are crossed over, blah, 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 blah. Okay, there's something, so rather than like an alphabet, there are just initials here and there, and it's likely that the initials are people that she cared about, the original stitcher Agnes cared about, especially because I can't really see, but there's a pair of initials, a little heart, pair of initials, and then a pair of initials, a little heart, pair of initials, and some over one initials hither and yon. So I'm gonna have to figure out how I'd want to personalize that. But look at those little people. Like, oh, like reminiscent of like Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Look at their pants. Look at their pants. Oh my gosh. And there are birds and little creatures. I love some little creatures. Look at that peacock. Anyway, I'm gonna stitch this hopefully next year. Maybe, who knows. To go with it, I got, this is my first time using fiber on a whim. This is 40 count cappuccino. Pretty close. I think it'll look good. The model stitched on 40 count. I mean, 40 count and 36 are like my favorites to work with, so I probably would have chosen a 40 count anyway, but the model was stitched on 40 count. Pardon the crinkling. So yeah, that's what I got from Hobby House, and I would love to go back and pet the dogs and get inspired to buy stuff from the shop models again. This almost 25 minutes in and I've shown you 2 things. Got weird. It's getting weird. I finished some things. I finished 3 things. One of which I don't think you've ever seen before. So last year, folks in America who are capable of getting pregnant were dealt quite a blow when the law, Roe versus Wade, that protected access to abortion in America was overturned. And that was a blow. Yeah, that affected us. Rebel Stitcher very quickly designed a beautiful pattern, and the proceeds went to abortion access, called Resistance, I think. And I started it last year, and for some reason got sidetracked. I got most of it done. So in the car on the way to Niagara Falls, I finished it. It says, when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. And then 1973, which is the year the Roe versus Wade decision was passed by the Supreme Court. And then 2022, the year that the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. I stitched this on a piece of linen. This is the same linen that I stitched my Not Forgotten Farm industry cure for melancholy. So, and I still have some, I might stitch my Sinead piece down here. Kind of want to stitch it on white because it's very stark, but then again, anyway, 32 count. I used Cupid by Classic Colorworks. I think it's Classic Colorworks. It's either Classic Colorworks or Gast. I get them mixed up. Happy with that. Might frame it, might do something else, but it definitely needs to get fully finished relatively soon. Famous last words. The next thing I finished, also while traveling, is the Raven's Needle book. I didn't fully finish it. All the cross stitching's done. There she blows. So, I don't know why I said there she blows about ravens. So, and then I decided that finishing feels really good. Like really good. And I've also been seeing a lot of things this year that I would love to stitch next year. And so I thought, well, I need to finish more. So I think the rest of my stitching this year is going to be very focused on finishing things. And I started doing that the first week that we were back from vacation and getting back to real life. I pulled out my Blackbird Designs basket of cherries and finished it. So this is on 36 count sand from Picture This Plus. And I pulled all my own threads. And I'm pretty pleased with it. Some are the light blue in this bluebird is a Vicki Clayton HDF. This pink here under my pinky is from Color and Cotton. The dark blue is from Color and Cotton. The darker brown in the basket is actually DMC, one of the single digit DMCs, I think number 8, but don't quote me on that. And a bunch of the other colors are, not all of them, but about at least 3 are I picked to use up because I I no longer support the thread company, but I have maybe 20 skeins in my stash that I just want to use up and be done with. So very happy about that. We'll definitely be starting the next one in this series. The second one's not going to be on this fabric. Maybe the third or fourth. But yeah, that felt good. Did I say that was 36? Yeah, I did. 36 count sand. Picture this plus. So what next? What am I working on right now? I decided that I needed to stop being such a crybaby about the mistakes in my big Mamba Jamba. This is the Gamer. The artwork is by Medusa Dollmaker. It's charted by Gecko Rouge. I'm stitching this for my partner Josh on 25 count Magic Guide Lugana 1/1. And what got me I even moved the Q-snap a little bit because I was paranoid. I wanted to make sure that I was going to have enough room across the top, because I figured, well, if I made a couple of mistakes, there's a non-zero chance that I counted wrong. I didn't. Maybe a tiny bit, but not enough to be catastrophic. So this is my great lady. What jump-started me on this was I said to myself, just don't stitch in the areas that you think you made a mistake in, because that's just gonna make you spiral. Stitch as much as the gray as you can. Like, just finish all the gray, even if it's just all the gray across the top. And I started doing that. As you can see, like, I think the last time, I think all the gray from here over is new. And there were a bunch of parked threads here. The colors are really light, but I just stitched those. I filled them in. So, and then I started to sew. This is like the page break. Where's the page break? Here. So this is the next page. It's progress. It's something. And I want to get this done, ideally before my kid goes to college. She's going into 7th grade this year. It's crunch time. If I do not stitch on it, it will not get done. So, that's gonna be a regular. I know I say that all the time, but I mean it this time. In terms of things that I want to get finished, what's next up that I just looked at my whips and I was like, what is close to finishing and appeals to me? And it was Halloween Fairy by Mirabilia, known to me as the Emily Fairy, because I associate, I don't know why, I mean, I remember her stitching it, but I associate this with Emily C. of Eclectic Possessions. So much so that I am choosing to stitch this on some 32 count Weeks Dye Works in Murky, which is one of Emily's favorites. So let's see. All the wing and the back stitching in the wing and the back stitching in her arm, that is new. These are new. I'm stitching her, I'm going to be doing skin because I'm stitching her skin 1/1. My current plan of attack is to bang out all the 1/1, which my 41-year-old eyes that also have astigmatism are telling me that I need magnification. So that was a kit. I think I bought it on 1-2-3 Stitch. I know I bought it on 1-2-3 Stitch some years ago. I do not know if they still carry it. But yeah, that's what I'm doing in terms. So that's what's on the plate in terms of cross stitch whips. I also did some knitting on my vacation. And this is a cautionary tale of why, even if you are someone like me who learned how to knit when you were 5 years old, you still have to knit a gauge swatch. And I'm a big proponent of gauge swatches. And I don't know why, hubris, that's what it is. Like, this is just a hat. I do not need to stitch a gauge swatch. Really? Yeah, I do. This wasn't even meant to be for me. So let's talk about it. The pattern is the Pressed Flowers hat by Amy Christophers, and I purchased the pattern and the yarn separately. The yarn was kitted up from Barrett Wool Company. These are the two colors I chose. It's a lovely pattern. If you are afraid of stranded knitting, two-color knitting, Fair Isle, whatever you want to call it, I think this is a great place to start, because I know it doesn't look like it. But you're only knitting with one color each row. I'll say that again. You're only knitting with one color of yarn each row. So you don't have to worry about, in the middle of a row, picking up a different color of yarn and knitting with it. Now, I'm not saying that doing that is difficult, but I know it's intimidating when you're a beginner. This is stranded knitting, but and it looks like this. It's not scary because you're only knitting with one strand of yarn each row. And it looks like this. So all I have to do is unknit the whole thing, and go down a needle. So there's you knit it with two different size needles, a smaller size for the ribbing and a larger size for the top. And honestly, in the photos, the brim is not that long, and that should have been my first clue that I had a gauge issue. Don't be me. It was enjoyable, it was relaxing, and as soon as I get the gumption, I will knit it again. What else have I been knitting? I knit 2 models of my very first knitwear design. I actually have some very, very lovely people test knitting my pattern for me. I'm looking forward to their feedback. We already found a couple of mistakes, surprising no one. and I hope to release this in November. Okay, quick. If you want to not see, if you want to have a good look at it, check out Ann P of Knit One Spin Two on Instagram, and Michelle Bendy has so graciously offered to test knit as well. I don't think she started hers yet, but yeah, watch that space. So I'm working on that, which is the main reason why I had been planning to do a coffee, Ko-Fi, whatever it is. My patterns are going to be on, my knitting patterns are going to be on the Ko-Fi as well as on Ravelry, but Ravelry is not very friendly to people with some disabilities and health conditions. So there are two ways you can get it. Yeah, I also want to start knitting some socks. I was going to do a summer sock camp, and then I just got overwhelmed. Lauren at Valkyrie Fibers Tahoe, who I talk up here quite a lot. One of my favorite indie yarn dyers. If you like geeky stuff, like if you like Steven Universe and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, you will like her yarns because she develops colorways based off of ideas or characters from those series. She recently had a shop update from her for her It's a Trap series, which is her Star Wars. Self-striping based on characters from the Star Wars Rebels. I think Star Wars Rebels, the animated. The animated series. I've been saying a lot. So I knew I had to grab one for my daughter because I knit her a pair of birthday socks every year in November. This is the colorway Snips, which is inspired by Ahsoka Tano. That definitely says Ahsoka. And Ahsoka is my kiddo's favorite. So these are going to be her birthday socks this year. And the next one I got for myself, and it's so cool. I'm actually not familiar. I think they're antagonists, but I'm not familiar. The colorway is called Night Sisters. Night Sisters. It's the black, the red, and that green for me. Not normally colors I gravitate to, but I just love this combination. So this is for me. You can, as always, find Lauren's yarn on Etsy. I will link her below. I can't say enough good things about it. I've knit probably 5 pairs of socks from her yarn. It knits out beautifully, it's durable, and everyone loves it. It washes nicely too. And she sends you candy. Last thing I'm working on, I haven't blocked this yet because it's not really, it's not really a finished product. It's a long swatch, and I'm calling it Thinking Out Loud. Backstory, I've always wanted to knit something with a mushroom pattern on it, not like an actual three-dimensional like mushroom plushie. Something that you knit flat or in the round like a hat or a shawl or a scarf or a cowl or socks, what have you, with the stitches in a pattern that looked like mushrooms. And that was backburnered, like way backburnered. And I was looking through some free stitch patterns online, and I saw one and had an epiphany, like I could maybe use that as a basis to kind of figure out how to knit a mushroom pattern. So what I did first, I got some scrap DK. This is Ann Peasel yarn in House Elf. Shout out to Ann again. So this is the original stitch pattern. I think it's called Parasol. So I knit this just to kind of get the rhythm down a bit, just to see how it was constructed. It's knit this way rather than this way. So you use decreases to shape the top rather than increasing down. And so I thought, okay, let's add a stem, and we're gonna do stockinette background, reverse stockinette mushroom. I made some mistakes with this one, but that's okay because I got the idea. That kind of works, right? That's a maybe. This is doable. Okay. And then I did the opposite. I did reverse stockinette background, stockinette mushroom. Okay, so this isn't perfect, but there's potential here. Like I could, in design wise, I could do something with this. And so this isn't going to be anytime soon because I want to play with gauge and I want to play with height and width and shape. But the point is, I can do it. Yeah, that's just kind of, that's what I was doing today before I filmed this. So I'm going to wash and block that and figure it out. We are 50 minutes in. I'm not going to bother with books today. I will say I finished Don't Fear the Reaper, which is by Stephen Graham Jones, which is the second and most recent book in his Lake Witch trilogy, and I'm really curious how he's going to wrap this all up. I think the next book's coming out late next year. I'm curious. I want to know. I am currently reading a book by T.J. Klune called Under the Whispering Door, which is about death. And I have a sneaking suspicion that this is also a love story. Sneaky, sneaky. Anyway, enjoying it very much, actually. It was a gift from my sister for my birthday, along with a couple of other books, so good stuff. I hope that you are well wherever you are in the world. I hope that you have a good support system. I hope you're safe. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today, especially if you put up with all the extra. I was a lot today, and I'm not going to apologize for it because, well, first of all, in my world, apologies mean don't do it again. I have a mental illness. I'm going to do it again, but I appreciate your patience. So be well, be kind, take care of each other, and I'll catch you around the internet.